reality is this. Since COVID and the disaster that the medical establishment inflicted on people and the lies that were told, people have lost confidence in the medical establishment. You have seen an increase in parents who are opting for those exemptions. The Surgeon General believes, and I believe, that if you actually didn't say you've got to take this, otherwise you're going to be punished, I think you'd actually have more uptake on some of those. I think there's some people, they're being told they have to do it, so they're opting for the exemption. In March of 2020, Joe Latipo said we shouldn't do lockdowns. He was pilloried for saying that. Very few people were willing to say that. He said you shouldn't be forcing young school children to wear masks shortly thereafter that. He was right on all those things.
Hey man, say man, what it do, man? Welcome to TikTok Tuesday, man. I'm your host, Just Nate, by the way. And in today's video, as y'all can see by the thumbnail, man, we'll be reacting to Florida is stopping mandatory vaccinations for the students that go to school there in Florida. I believe Florida is the first state to do this. But yeah, man, before we dive into this video, get whatever you need, and we're going to sit back, relax, and let's react.
You know what? Don't bring your kids. If you don't trust the vaccine, don't bring your kids. And it's Gary, the ER nurse. I just saw the news out of Florida that they're going to phase out mandatory vaccines for school-aged children. I'm not surprised. It's Florida. They're all about that. I think what will surprise me even less is that when these children who are not going to get vaccinated because of their parents are still going to bring those kids to the emergency department when they get sick. And they will get sick with measles, mumps, rubella, flu, COVID. They don't trust the science behind the vaccines, but they will trust the science that drives the medicines that will help treat those children. My initial response was to get on here and say, you know what, don't bring your kids. If you don't trust the vaccine, don't bring your kids. But that's punishing the children, and that's not their fault. Absolutely bring them to the ER. But I guess my beef is that if you don't trust the science behind vaccines, why on earth do you trust the same science that drives the care that they will receive in an emergency department? Help me figure it out, because I don't understand.
No, it's crazy, man. It's just facts. The same thing in the medicine that they give us is the same thing in the vaccination that they give us.
Decision to try to lift vaccine mandates for Florida, which include obviously public schools. Did your department do any data analysis? Did you do any data projection of how many new cases of these diseases there will be in Florida once you remove vaccine mandates?
Absolutely. So absolutely not. In terms of, analysis, well, ultimately, this is an issue very clearly of parents' rights. So do I need to analyze whether it's appropriate for parents to be able to decide what goes into their children's bodies? I don't need to do an analysis on that.
So you're trying to lift the vaccine mandate in Florida, and your department and you did not even do a projection as to how this could impact public health. So you have not prepared hospitals in the Florida counties most at risk with the best treatments for any outbreaks of measles, mumps, rubella, whooping cough, polio, and you have not looked into how many kids might now get these preventable diseases.
Right. And that's the thing, man. They stopping the vaccination, but they not thinking about how much of a risk they are putting the other kids that go to school with their children at risk, because they don't want to get vaccinated so their kids can get any disease out there. And then if it's a contagious disease, it's going to spread like wildfire, man. But I wanted to give y'all a verse for real. And Isaiah 41 verse 10, it says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you." So you don't have to fear, man. Y'all don't have to fear for y'all kids, man. God is there. He will strengthen y'all. He will help y'all through the storms, man.
This is a move that could end vaccination mandates for shots like polio, chickenpox, measles, and hepatitis B. And it also comes at a time where the CDC is in turmoil, from budget cuts to staffing. And while states set vaccine requirements for schools, the agency is losing much of its control as it relates to the country's vaccine policies.
The Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governors, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida law.
Florida Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo vowed Wednesday to make the state the first to eliminate all vaccine mandates, including for school kids.
Your body is a gift from God.
Florida's controversial move dismisses what public health officials credit for limiting the spread of infectious diseases and puts Florida more in line with HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s agenda as a vaccine skeptic.
This is a moral framing, not a scientific framing.
Meanwhile, California, Oregon, and Washington's governors said they'd be going in a different direction, launching the West Coast Health Alliance in an effort to give vaccine recommendations based on science, not politics.
These school mandates are the guardrails that kept polio and measles from resurfacing, and you tear down those guardrails, and the crash won't just stay contained in Florida. You'll see outbreaks spread fast.
This all playing out amid nationwide confusion over COVID vaccines. Last week, the FDA said it's limiting the vaccines to Americans over 65 or with underlying health conditions this year, as the newest COVID variant is surging.
Parents have a lot of questions. First, they want to know if we recommend it, and then second, if they already know they want it, they want to know how they can get it.
Pediatrician Jennifer Shue runs this clinic in Decatur, Georgia. She says she's concerned the new requirements will lead to fewer vaccinations.
It can be a deterrent for some people because it is, more work that they have to do.
And experts are already seeing a decline in vaccinations. According to KFF, that is a nonprofit that looks at health policy, they say that childhood vaccination rates continue to decline in more than 75% of states. Meanwhile, vaccine exemptions have gone up.
So it seems like people are confused, because at first people didn't agree with getting a vaccine. Now that Florida is the first state to say they don't have to get it, now they making it seem like they want it now for their kids. So it's like, man, people don't really know what they want to do. I believe people are afraid, but like I said, man, we have nothing to be afraid of because God is still in control. I wanted to give y'all another verse. This one is from Psalms 41. Matthew 10, verse 1. Jesus gave his disciples authority to drive out unclean or impure spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. So you don't have to fear about your kids and stuff getting sick. If you know you're good with God and who you put your faith in, Jesus gave his disciples authority to drive out all sickness and unclean spirits. So just have faith, man. Have faith.
The reality is this. Since COVID and the disaster that the medical establishment inflicted on people and the lies that were told, people have lost confidence in the medical establishment. You have seen an increase in parents who are opting for those exemptions. The Surgeon General believes, and I believe, that if you actually didn't say you've got to take this, otherwise you're going to be punished, I think you'd actually have more uptake on some of those. I think there's some people, they're being told they have to do it, so they're opting for the exemption. In March of 2020, Joe Ladapo said we shouldn't do lockdowns. He was pilloried for saying that. Very few people were willing to say that. He said you shouldn't be forcing young school children to wear masks shortly thereafter that. He was right on all those. All those things. The lockdowns were harmful. The mask mandates on kids. Now, I overruled those in Florida, but, there were school districts that wanted to do it.
So Florida plans on becoming the first state to get rid of all vaccine mandates for children. Their argument for why they're doing this is, who are we to tell you what to put in your child's body? Does anyone remember we heard that argument before? Now, nothing is set in stone yet because as far as when these mandates are supposed to go into effect, that is all still relatively new, and it's not really 100% known. Now, they can go to Florida state legislature and their state Congress and, like, through a vote, can get rid of certain mandates for vaccines. Certain ones. Not all of it, but a lot of them they can. Then it has to go through the Florida State Department, for the State Health Department, for them to get rid of the rest. And so, now, I'm not 100% sure if this is in direct response to Florida, or they were already planning on doing this based off of the things that RK was doing with the CDC. But California, Oregon, and Washington State are forming their own coalition, which essentially is like they're going to come with their own like list of vaccines, like their own little system to come with their own vaccine list and mandates. That even though the CDC is saying we're not doing this, they can still make like state health mandates or state vaccine mandates to try to like counteract what the CDC is. Now, again, I am not a epidemiologist. I'm not someone that studies diseases. I am repeating the information that I have heard from the people who do this, okay? And they're saying that while what California and Oregon and Washington State are doing is great, even if, like, let's say other states, like, I also heard that there were states on the East Coast that are also planning on doing, like, the same type of thing. So even if, like, say, states do this, and they do still make certain vaccines available, don't really know how to go about doing that, because I'm not sitting here pretending that I know the ins and outs of all of that. But also, according to some epidemiologists and people who do study this, that, like, they don't know if that will be enough to keep the herd immunization going, if that makes sense. And, like, herd immunization is basically enough of us have gotten the vaccine that, like, keep certain diseases at bay because the majority of us are vaccinated. So, like, even the people who are like, I'm anti-vax, I'm not getting vaccinated and stuff like that, who don't get regularly vaxxed, they're still protected because the majority of us are vaccinated. But things like measles are coming back hot and heavy because less of us are vaccinated for it. So therefore, the disease is always still there, but because everyone was vaccinated, kept running into that wall of vaccines. Now that more and more people, and then you got, more and more states. Because other states, if Florida is successful in this, other states will follow, and I'm pretty sure you can guess to the tune of what states will follow. But if that happens, the herd immunization that we currently have, which is already lowered, okay, it's already lowered, it's going to get that much lower, which means measles, polio,
chickenpox, yep. We don't want none of that
stuff.
They've
already said it, but this is eugenics. You're practicing survival of the fittest by playing with vaccines. That's what you're doing. Because it may not happen. I don't know how quickly things will decline if they do this. Like, if more states follow along with Florida and things of that nature, or even how things will play out with the rollback on COVID vaccines. I don't know how this will play out. But what I can say is that from listening to the scientists and the doctors in the room, it's going to play out with a lot of people no longer here. A lot of people getting sick. And then because of that, you getting angry and demanding that they do something to fix it. I don't know, what do you think?
Florida is looking to ban all vaccine mandates, and I've been seeing a reoccurring comment on most people that are really concerned about this. I'm born and raised Floridian. The first one being, oh my god, public schools are going to be, a disaster. And then the other one is Disney and our main, theme parks. And this is just my opinion. I don't know why we're bringing up a theme park that allows people from all over the world to visit. They do not check for vaccines. They've never checked if you were vaccinated, so we really don't know who's vaccinated for what going into Disney already. Second of all, public schools and the concern with public schools and all that stuff. We already in Florida have a religious exemption that parents exercise that you can take to public schools. Most public schools take. So we already have unvaccinated kids within the public school system. We don't know who's vaccinated and who's not vaccinated because we do not ask these questions. And honestly, we go on the assumption that everybody stays up to date with their vaccines. But I don't know anybody in my neighborhood. I don't ask anybody. I don't ask the neighbor if their kid's vaccinated. I don't go to the store and be like, are you vaccinated? Are you vaccinated? We just go out into society and we live our everyday lives. We are unknowingly always around people who potentially pose a risk to us.
Yep. and that goes back to what the Lord said in Matthew 24 chapter verse 12. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of many will grow cold. And that's what we're seeing today. The love of many is growing cold. People are caring less about others. People are not worrying about others. They're worrying about their self. People are lovers of themselves and pleasures of themselves. It's all about me, I. Nobody is thinking about the neighbor next door. Nobody's loving their neighbors anymore. And that's where we come to, man. It's crazy.
A friend of mine sent this in our group chat the other day. It says, "I'm going to Disney World, signed polio." That is because of all the bad decisions being made in Florida right now. And what's crazy is Ron DeSantis has this Surgeon General who is just signing off on everything, even though every other medical expert goes against everything that he's saying. He's signing off on it anyway. Watch this interview. There's so many things I'm going to have to cut into in this interview that he says that are absolutely asinine. So what this man is about to try and explain to you is that he made some life or death decisions when it comes to vaccine mandates, and he has no data to support any of those decisions. He asked, did you guys do any assessments of what might happen if you take away these vaccine mandates? Do you know what might happen if a bunch of kids don't get vaccines before going to school now? And this dude says, absolutely not. No, this is not a parents' rights issue. This is 100% an issue for the community and the greater good. What he's asking you is this: are you making an informed decision? Do you have any idea what could happen to these children if you take away all of these vaccines? Have you done any studies? Because your decisions could affect the lives of all of these children going to school. And he's like, that's a decision for parents to make. No, it's not. Not when that decision could affect all of these other children that their kids are going to share spaces with. We know that these vaccines are the reason why we don't have the diseases that we used to have in the past. But Florida's like, fuck it. We don't care. We're willing to take that chance. So you're telling me his argument is that they don't want to tell parents what to do. But 82% of the parents in Florida are saying, we don't want you to take these vaccine mandates away. So they're going to side with the 17 to 18% who say, we want you to take these away. How did this guy even get a degree? And listen, Chris Christie pretty much tells us exactly what's going on here. This is not about informed decisions. This is about Donald Trump, RFK Jr., Ron DeSantis, and people like that just basically wanting to show you that they can do whatever the hell they want.
It's 2030, and Florida dropped school vaccine mandates 5 years ago. Here's what your kid's normal school year is going to cost you, and I'm not talking about tuition. Measles outbreak in Miami. Whooping cough spreading through Orlando. Mumps cluster in Tampa. Polio detected in the waters in Jacksonville. Coverage drops below 95%. One measles case can affect 12 to 18 students. Her pediatrician, who usually has appointments in the next week, she's overwhelmed with kids that don't need to be there if they just had their rat. Your kid who's vaccinated can't even get to the doctor's appointment when they have the flu. Yards are now packed to the brim with kids who are fighting for their lives instead of kids who are in school where they should be. One measles outbreak, that means 21 days your kid is out of school. Do the math really quick, because if most people get 15 days PTO and you need 21, that's me being generous. Let's say you actually only have 10 days left. 11 through 21 is unpaid. You're getting paid $30 an hour. That is $2,640. That will be missing out of your paycheck. That's a mortgage payment. That's your kid's daycare bill. You're missing all those days of work. You're on a PIP now. Look at the insurance premiums. They're going to skyrocket. And these same insurance companies that look for any reason not to cover something, you think that they're still going to cover vaccines? No. The second that it's not required anymore, they're going to say it's limited. People can say, your kid, your choice. But let's be your coworker whose unvaccinated kid started the outbreak in the first place, he has a stay-at-home mom caring for the kids. You're the mom. And you can't stay home. This won't just be about those passionate anti-vaxxers. This will also be the lazy parents, the forgetful ones, the busy ones. If it's not required, it's just not getting done. Your kid's current. Demand better policy. And stop letting other people's choices destroy your financial future. Florida parents, we deserve better.
So
So apparently Florida is going to become the first state to remove all vaccine mandates. Good for you guys, right? If you want to be a deep red state, you get deep red state policies. When I say the Republican Party is the party of death and misery, nobody wants to listen to me. It's like every year Florida is in a competition with itself to see how bad of a state it can really be. No vaccine mandates, stand your ground state, terrible infrastructure, people getting priced out of southern Florida, hurricanes every year, terrible education, but hey, no personal tax, no personal sales tax. Florida is so lucky that they have Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm, literally where all of their wealth comes from. If they didn't have that tiny part, that little section of the state, they'd be another Oklahoma, except with alligators and hurricanes every year.
Crazy, man.
Yo, so by now you've heard that the state of Florida is doing away with its vaccine mandates for the children. And I don't understand. Like, I know Prince said we want to party like it was 1999, but I don't understand why these people want to live like it's 1850. Why? Like, how have we gone to the point where we're saying that we're going to ban, and take away people's rights to decide whether or not they want to have kids. But then when they have kids, we're not going to vaccinate them. So, that infant mortality rate might be sky high. Okay. That's the other thing, too. Now, I know Florida is the sunshine state. But I feel like Florida about to be the state of tears or something. Because the fuck? And I don't know that man. Apple's that I don't know him.
Yeah,
But
he's
what I
saying
do know
nonchalant.
is there are two types of people that go to college. There are those who go to college and go on into the world and apply what they've learned. And then there are those who go to college and then people just took their money. I feel like them people just took his money. And Ron, there's a special place in Satan's hell for you. Because what? I have never understood. I will never understand. Like, y'all want to die from polio? Mumps, measles, and rubella? All at the same time? I don't know.
Chicken
But what I do
pox.
know is that
Monkey, there's all types of stuff out there, man.
Because, number one, we just doing all kind of shit down here. Number two, ain't nobody gonna be left. I believe, like, Florida gonna become like a travel advisory. And like when you go to other states, they're gonna be like, have you traveled to Florida recently? You can't come in. You can't go there. If you've been to Florida, you can't come in. We're gonna need to quarantine you. Quarantine for everybody. If you've been to Florida in the last 30 days, we're gonna need you to go to quarantine. That's what's gonna happen.
I can actually see that happening.
Anywho, I just don't know how we got here, but I guess here we are. Okay, bye.
Okay, so of course I'm here to talk about the Florida getting rid of vaccines thing. So if you're one of the people that thinks this is a good idea, you're the problem. We have been so spoiled as we have not had to really endure an actual pandemic. Like the closest thing we ever had to a pandemic is COVID, but none of us have had to experience things like the Black Plague or polio or measles outbreaks and things like that. Why is that? Because of vaccines. And now people are trying to say that something that's enabling us to live longer, because we have eradicated a lot of diseases that would kill people, a lot of people, and they would not have long lives. We now are trying to say that that's the reason why we are not healthy, because they're putting poisons into our body. And the thing about research is that people that say they've done their research are just Googling things, when there have been scientists and people who've gone to school and doctors who have actually physically done the research, and they've mass produced these life-saving things, and you get them for almost for free. And the reason why it's so important that everybody gets vaccinated, even if you are a healthy individual, is because you can still be a carrier for diseases. I don't know why people still have to explain this. I actually do, because a lot of people are stupid and they can't read past the 3rd grade level. But there's so many things wrong with it on a scientific level, and a lot of things wrong with it on a moral level. So you're saying that because you're selfish and you want to be able to choose for your child, your child doesn't even get a choice, because you're choosing for them. You're choosing for another person. You're being selfish and you're taking away the right to choose for another human being. But it's always the same people that say, what about the children? You have to think about the children. Like whenever it's pro-life, those same people will turn around and say, well, I want to choose. I don't want my child to be vaccinated because I want to choose. That mentality goes hand in hand, because they're not actually doing it for another person. They're doing it because they're selfish. And I get 100% being skeptical of something that somebody else has done, but when you have proof that they work, how do we have proof? Oh, I don't know. Does anybody have measles right now? Does anybody have polio? The COVID vaccine worked. Yes, there was problems, but there was also problems with COVID, because you could die. I really don't understand why we're having to go through this, and the fact that a whole state is taking away that right for other people. You want to talk about government control? That's it right there. I don't want to say that it's a good thing, because a lot of people, like children and the elderly, will die if this continues to get worse and worse and worse, which vaccination rates have continuously gone down. But it has to happen in order for people to understand that vaccines work.
Do you know why you haven't seen a child take his last breath because of diphtheria? Or why you don't see infantile paralysis like Franklin Delano Roosevelt had, or the iron lung? Or a child who has been rendered blind or compromised in his brain because of measles? It's because of the success of vaccinations. Because our fathers and mothers believed in civic responsibility that their children would get vaccine to protect all of the other children, especially to protect those children who can't get vaccines, infants who can't get them, people who are immune compromised, the child who is getting chemotherapy, the adult who's getting chemotherapy. We have had in the last year an example of this, that in poorly vaccinated areas, measles ran wild, requiring hospitalizations, a couple of deaths, and where did the measles fizzle out? Where vaccination was at its strongest. And yet these people think that it is the evil government mandating something for their children, those same people who claim to protect children. They are so far removed from childhood death that they need to take a wander sometime into the cemetery and see how many of those tiny little gravestones are there from parents who lovingly cared for these children but couldn't do a thing about them because they didn't have vaccinations to protect them against the disease that we now can protect them against. These aren't warriors against the government. These are cultural illiterates who don't understand history, microbiology, vaccination, and immunology. And because of that, they are not only putting their kids at risk, but everybody else's kids at risk. Because if you have enough children getting the vaccine, we stop the disease cold. It's called herd immunity. But if you don't have that herd immunity, even people who are vaccinated can get the disease. I constantly hear people saying, well, this isn't a true vaccine, it doesn't keep you from getting the disease. No vaccine does that. All vaccines do is give your body a chance to get the immune system ready for that foreign invader. But if you don't have enough people getting it, even if you are a completely responsible parent, your child could now be at risk of the next child's breath, of the next child's cough, because their parents didn't understand civic responsibility is public health. I'm a physician. Part of our ethic is public health. And public health means vaccination. And yes, it means mandatory vaccination. I'm glad my child was raised here in California, where we have mandated vaccines. And I feel sorry for those people who are in Florida and the states beyond. Because here's the thing about viruses. They don't care about your state's borders. And if we have a fire, a storm of some viral outbreak in Florida, it's not just going to stay there.
Hey man, we're gonna end the video right there, man. Give me y'all thoughts, man. Do y'all believe that children should be mandatory for them to get vaccinated, or do you agree with Florida with counseling the mandatory vaccination? Me personally, I guess I'll give y'all my opinion. Me personally, I believe that God gave us everything we need. I believe if we put our trust more into the Lord, man, He would show us how to survive everything, man, without being told what to do. And I think that's the truth. I think people are tired of the government and the system telling them what to do, and they want to have their free will, like God promised us our free will, man. So people just want to have control over their things. So I can understand with the Florida policy by giving people their free will and free of choice. But at the same time, I can also understand the other side of things of people of that agree with the vaccination there, and they're scared for their children to be around the other children that's not vaccinated, because it can cause even the vaccinated children to get sick, which is crazy. That's why I think it's no point in the vaccination anyway. If you can still get sick, you get it. So I'm just feeling like I'm gonna say this verse, Psalms 41. It says, "The Lord sustains them on their sick beds and restore them from their bed of illness." So give it all to the Lord, man. He sustains them on their sick bed and restores them from their bed of illness. He restores you from the sickness, man. He will not let you get sick, man. He gives us authority, man, over unclean spirits and to heal every disease and every sickness, man. So just know that word, man. But God bless. Happy Tuesday. See y'all in the next one. We out.